And I encourage you to go do that before you ever go about signing this letter. So don't just sign this letter willy-nilly. Go read everything first. I think it's a good letter, but go read everything first. Alrighty. The Fiedler on the Roof saga continues. Of course, if you're following along on Unsafe Science Substack, Legism's Substack, you would know what's going on with this. And there is a reason I'm coming back to it because, you know, it's nice to see pushback on some of the stupid shit that's going on. And so this is a little bit of, I hope folks who see this, if you are an academic, current, or retired, doesn't matter your field, that you will consider doing the signing of this particular letter because, frankly, this shit needs to stop. Where people are fired for reasons that are, well, fired or a forced resignation in this case, might be the better way to say it. But there is a letter that has been circulated. It came up last week, and if you saw it on Twitter, I was talking about it, and I mentioned it quote tweeted Lee when he put it out there and said, "Hey, folks, you need to, go sign this." And I said I would do a video on it. I am making good on my word to provide some support for this, because I do think this is a good thing to do to stop this nonsense. So, invitation to sign letter protesting APS, which is the Association of Psychological Science, treatment of Klaus Fiedler. A number of academics are organizing a protest letter to be sent to APS leadership over the Pops fiasco, which is the Fiedler on the Roof fiasco, which included execution of a successful mob-induced demand to dismiss him from a major editorial position. Protest letter is open to any member of APS, one does not need to be a professor, any academic in any field, including graduate students, anyone with a PhD working in any scientific or social scientific position outside of academia, anyone retired who ever fit any of the above. So, you know anybody with a PhD or who is a current graduate student or who is a former academic or what have you, please get them to sign this. It would be my suggestion on that front. Another such letter open to anyone is planned for the not-too-distant future, because the woke takeover of public institutions is most definitely not merely an issue for academics and scientists. Yes, so that's coming also. By signing the letter, you can register your opposition to the lies, propaganda, and the complete denial of fairness, justice, and due process that characterize the sorry affair. Now, if you're wondering about the lack of due process part of this, I encourage you to see the previous video that I did, one of the ones last week, where I was actually talking about Klaus's own response to the situation. And he very clearly stated that he did not get any due process. Was never asked to defend himself. Was just asked to leave. Okay. Sign our letter below. Okay. Text of the letter to be sent to APS. Board of Directors, the President and President-elect of the Association of Psychological Sciences. We're writing to express our deep concern about your decision to summarily dismiss Klaus Fiedler as editor of Perspectives on Psychological Science, POPS for short. Having considered all the evidence available to us, which, by the way, if you need it, it's all up here. Having considered all the evidence available to us, we feel that the association's actions were unfair, unjustified, and a complete denial of due process and the kind of objectivity and rationality that one can reasonably expect from a scientific association. I almost feel like it should be like one should reasonably expect, or one should expect from a scientific association. But anyway. Editors should always have a great deal of latitude in selecting reviewers and deciding how to deal with a manuscript. Fiedler's actions suggest that he hoped to get an informed discussion going on the pages of POPS on a vitally important topic, the forceful political infusion of ideological positions into what should be an objective and rational science. As far as the evidence is available, Fiedler has not done anything to justify his dismissal. The reviewers he selected were chosen based on merit and their proven expertise. The fact that they were all critical of Robert's ideologically driven research in no way indicates bias. They all offered detailed and reasonable justifications for their assessments. Robert's suggestion, that their status as senior white males had anything quote, senior white males had anything to do with their critical assessment of his work is itself racist. Again, words of the letter. Racial status should play no role in selecting reviewers, as Roberts implies, nor are editors obliged to seek more favorable reviews to balance the unfavorable ones. Indeed, there's a lot of latitude. Understand something. There is a lot of latitude given to editors when they're picking reviewers, can pick whomever they deem there. Now, one of the things that often happens to make life for the editors a little bit easier, one of the things that will often happen is that when you submit a manuscript, you'll be asked to provide reviewers, suggest reviewers, and the editor may go ask them first, and they may agree or they may not agree. Those kinds of things. So you can get a lot of things done that way, and you can actually help an editor if you're providing reviewers. Same thing for a reviewer when you have to decline reviewing a manuscript. Hey, provide another person the editor can go talk to, because the editor doesn't necessarily have all the time in the world to go looking for reviewers. But they will check them out. Don't get me wrong. They will check them out and make sure they are good reviewers and actually have expertise in the field in which they would be doing a review. But then again here. The APS, in almost instantly dismissing Fiedler, acted in a reprehensible way that is not fitting for a scientific association. Your action represents a complete betrayal of fundamental principles of fairness, due process, and objectivity, as the German Psychological Association also stated. So yes, this was part of the pushback. The German Psychological Association was pretty damn ticked, at least from what I read, at what the American, the Association of Psychological Sciences did in this particular instance. Members have not been consulted, the process was not open and transparent, and Fiedler was not given an opportunity to explain his actions. As Fiedler himself said, there was no due process. Even more worrying is that hundreds of our colleagues signed a petition demanding Fiedler's dismissal without having the benefit of hearing his explanation. This is why you don't do trials by public opinion. Shouldn't do disciplinary things in with respect to any job position that way either. We should all be profoundly concerned by this serious violation of the fundamental academic principles by our own scientific association. We request that you revisit this issue, give Fiedler equal chance to explain his actions, and publish both sides of the case so that all members of APS can have access to the relevant facts and make up their minds accordingly. In particular, those who rush to judgment without full information should have an opportunity to reconsider their position. We look forward to your response. So, fabulous. I think this is a fabulous letter. And I think this is the real point here at the end. This is obviously expressing the opinions of whomever signs it. But it is pushback on something here in demanding due process, in demanding that people actually be treated fairly in this particular case. It was entirely, having read through the documents myself, I said this in the past, I thought that doing 4-on-1 against Fiedler, against the original author, or what looked like 4-on-1 at times, against the original author, yeah, that doesn't sound quite right. that doesn't come off to me as the best thing. I kind of would have loved it. Start off as like comment exchange kind of thing, and then let other authors start contributing and, get some nice comment exchanges, things going back and forth. That's my preference. Doesn't mean Fiedler handled it wrong, but I can see some of the criticism that way as not being the best thing. That's a whole other argument, but to dismiss him over the whole thing, no, that was utterly wrong. Straight up. So that's why I think this is actually a good letter to sign in here. If you are an academic, I recommend it here. And you can already see some of the signatories down here. Oh yeah. So how Lee is asking that if you want to sign this, you add your affiliation and your name here in the comments below. And this is, of course, he's got signatories here that these are all here, and there's a lot of names here that I do recognize. There's others that I do not in here from my casual glance at these things. So like one of them, I saw her in here. Yep, one of them right here. This is to make a point that you don't need to be a psychologist to sign these things. Anna Krylov is a chemist. So I suggest, if this strikes you and you don't like the situation, please go ahead and sign on to it, because I think it's a good idea. The other thing I would say to this is, you know what, in here, it's an absolute mess what happened with the Fiedler on the Roof Fiasco. And again, it is a prime example of the dangers of running science by social media. And what do I mean by that? You think about how that petition was organized, that Klaus was not given a chance at all to defend himself before being thrown out. But that whole petition and everything about it was pretty much organized on social media. I don't think we really want to run our scientific societies and institutions that way, where you can just have a whole group of people say something on social media and have it be done. When I would also take a wager, that not everybody who saw that petition on social media and reacted to it really wanted Klaus to be fired from his position. I would be doubtful of that. But the final thing I want to say is the point here with objectivity, rationality, and what have you. This goes along the line with Enlightenment rationality, more classical liberal thinking, if you will. That, yeah, you want due process. You want people to be treated fairly, the accuser and the accused, if you will. That goes along the lines with science, in the sense that you cannot get at the truth about something without having multiple perspectives on something. In this, two different things that you're going for. First, you're going for the truth in both cases. You want to figure out the truth of what happened and whether or not somebody did or did not do something. When you're talking about due process and related to disciplinary related things. But you're also after the truth when you're looking at science. There's always a relationship there that way. Not for the same reasons, obviously, because we're pursuing the truth and advancement of knowledge and what have you in one case, and the other one we're trying to figure out who did it or didn't do it, or, is the accused actually guilty of something. And I don't think we want to work necessarily in a case where people are just going with a sort of mob mentality, if you will, and not actually taking the time to listen and to think about some of these things before you run your mouth. So that's all I really wanted to say on this. This will be linked in the description, as always. I do think it's a good letter. Myself, kind of thing with this. And I will be curious to see what's coming next. But I'm pleased to see the pushback, and I hope this helps give this letter a little bit of attention so that folks will sign off on it. That's it for now. Let me know what you think. Before I forget, that's what I wanted to say. I was struggling with what do I want to say. My recommendation, of course, with this, and I want to go back down here. If you don't know what's going on with the Fiedler on the Roof saga, that fiasco, really, I very much encourage you to go look at all of these links that Lee has put in here. He's put in every single bit of background material. He's put in all the original commentary, everything that you could ask for. And that's fabulous. Thank you, Lee, for doing that. That is the way to do it. That is the way it should be done. Let everybody have every bit of information. They can make the decision for themselves. And I encourage you to go do that before you ever go about signing this letter. So don't just sign this letter willy-nilly. Go read everything first. I think it's a good letter, but go read everything first. That's it now. I remembered what I was going to say. If you like this button, wow. If you like this video, hit the like button on the way out the door. Comment on the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, all that lovely good jazz. Till next time, I'm Adrian. May you all stay curious.